First of all, thank you. Joelle and Jared have really meant a lot to me as a person. They've always challenged me. They've always held me accountable. And they have always really asked for the best of me as an individual, Mira as an organization. And before I go any further, I want to ask you to recognize the organization. And that organization is the staff, the board, because, while we may be talking about a person, at the end of the day, the Massachusetts Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Coalition is over 120 organizations across Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island, and it's some of the best staff I've ever worked with. So now that I know that this is going to be on YouTube, I wonder why I didn't prepare just a little bit more. So that's my first lesson, prepare. Seriously. When I started this job about 4.5 years ago, one of my first speaking opportunities was to the Commonwealth Seminar, and I told Joelle, I said, Joelle, I have no idea what I'm talking about. And he said, oh, you'll be fine. And 4.5 years later, well, I still have no idea what I'm talking about. But I found myself, as I was going through this journey with this organization, beginning to understand who I am. And I really, going back to some of the first Senate budget debates and standing up, just outside this hallway, surrounded by lobbyists who, well, they didn't really look like me. They didn't really, care about the same issues, or they weren't paid to care about the same issues. They probably cared about some of the same issues. But I remember standing there in that hallway, probably, 11:30 at night, thinking, where am I? What have I gotten myself into? And, working with staff and Senator Barrios to move, I think it was the tuition bill through the Senate budget. And I remember standing there looking, saying, okay, what have I gotten myself into and what am I going to do with this? There's that moment where I realized that there are moments where you have to make decisions, and it really comes down to how do you make those decisions. It could have been that moment at 11:30 at night and outside the Senate chamber, or it could have been any other moment between then and now. But making those decisions is about working with people. Because if I am just making that decision, or if you're just making that decision on your own, it's not a decision that moves an issue forward. It's not a decision that serves the mission that you have as a person. So you have to know who you are, and you have to know that you are one of many people. And it was at that moment when I realized, surrounded by lobbyists working various and sundry issues, people doing various and sundry things, that I realized that, I am a person who cares about an issue, cares about a community, but what I do is more than just myself. What I do is bigger than any one person, and in order to be successful at anything that any one of us do, we have to keep that in mind. So I like to say that I'm 1/5 billionth of the world. How many people are in this room? 50, 60, 70? So we have 70 billionths of the world here. That's a lot more powerful than 1/5 billionth of the world, 1 billionth of the world, or whatever the math is. So that's the way I think about this. So know who you are. Know that you can't do things alone. But talk to people, engage people, and I have to thank so many of my friends and mentors and guides in the room. The foundations who have supported Mira's work, our member organizations' work, the Hyams Foundation, Hyams, Boston Foundation, Access Strategies, legislators who have just been relentless in their belief in the issues for all immigrants and refugees. Senator Wilkerson, thank you very much for everything you've done. The staff of legislators in this building, David Morales and Lily Mendez-Morgan, who are now with the governor's office, have always been, from whatever role they've played, they've been there for the community, for the organization, for me as an individual. So know who you are, know who your friends are, thank your friends, engage your friends, ask your friends for advice, ask your friends when you're doing something incredibly wrong, or if you feel like you're doing something incredibly wrong, or ask them, what I always ask people is, going into a meeting, What shouldn't we say? What shouldn't I say? Think about that. Oftentimes we're wondering, okay, what do we say? What do we do? What do we ask? Think about what you don't ask. Set those lines for yourself. Set those parameters. Then you know what you're operating within. And I would close by asking, how many people here who have gone through this seminar either this time or in the past feel empowered by this information? Well, you're wrong. You know why? Because you had power before. You're stronger now. So you have more strength to use the power that you have. And the question that I ask myself every morning, that I ask the organization and the people that I work with, is, what are you going to do with the strength that you have? So when you go back to your organizations, to your communities, what are you going to do with it? And that's one of the most important pieces of the Commonwealth seminars, providing all of us the tools, information, and strength so that we then go back to wherever we come from and do something. So I want to again thank Jarrett and Joelle for all that you do in terms of putting this seminar together and for all that you do for the communities overall. I know Massachusetts is a better place because of all the work that you do, and I know Massachusetts is a better place because of all the work that you will do. Thank you.